All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. This is John McDougall with Murder by the Book, coming to you from my living room for another live virtual event. So we're going to give everybody just a second to come click to us from YouTube and Facebook. So before I bring Helen and JT out, I'm going to say thank you for joining us this evening. I'm so excited for this event. I got a text, I don't know, a month or so ago from Helen saying, hey, let's do this event. And I'm so excited that she did, because this is going to be so much fun tonight. You're in for a treat. But before we get started, I wanted to mention a couple of things that we've got going on at the store. First up, we are open for browsing. Despite what the governor has said, we are still requiring masks in store, and we're still limiting it to 6 people in the store at a time, just because the store is a small space and we still want to be able to let you social distance. So that hasn't really been an issue. If you pull up and the parking lot's full, maybe just poke your head in and see where we're at capacity-wise, and we'll let you know whether it's safe to come in or whether we want you to just wait just a minute or two. Usually there's a group that comes in and they check out and they leave, and it's not a problem at all. Also wanted to mention, we haven't had any issues lately, but sometimes we tend to get some spam comments that pop up that will say things like, to watch this event, click here. Ignore those. You're already watching the event. You don't have to click away to watch it. You don't have to give anybody else your credit card information to watch this. It's free on Facebook. It's free on YouTube. So if any of those pop up, I will block them as soon as I see them, but just don't click on them in the time it takes me to delete and block them. I wanted to mention that we do have signed book plates for all of our copies of Her Dark Lies. And while you're watching tonight, if you have questions for either author, please drop them in the comments. Helen has said whoever asks the question that sends them on the best tangent will win a copy of Her Dark Lies. So she will be picking that winner. So if you've got great questions, please, please, please post those in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube, and we will get to those in a little bit. Wanted to mention that we have recently started an official subscription service. So we've got 3 different options. We've got Best of the Month, where we pick just something that we're super excited about. We have Crime Fiction Classics, where we pick some classics that we think you might have missed and should read. And then my personal favorite is the Cozy subscription box that Helen actually kind of unofficially started for us. So now we have officially started out to the world. So once a month, I will pick a first in series Cozy and send it your way. You can get more information about those on the website. And also wanted to mention, I'll mention this again in a little bit, but if you can't get enough of this evening's authors, Helen Ellis is going to be chatting with Lee Hollis about the new Poppy Harmon book on March 31st. And JT Ellison is going to be back with us. She's going to be in conversation with Adele Parks and Lisa Jewell on April 6th. So make sure you come back for those. We're super excited about that. So I'm going to get us started this evening. I'm going to bring out Helen first. Hey, Helen, how are you?
Hey, John, from New York City.
Thanks so much for doing this with us this evening.
Thrilled to be here. Thrilled.
So for those of you who may not be familiar, Helen Ellis is the author of Southern Lady Code, American Housewife, and Eating the Cheshire Cat. Raised in Alabama, she lives with her husband in New York City. You can find her on Twitter at What I Do All Day, and Instagram. You just changed your Instagram, right? You're not American.
My publishers asked me to change it, and now I am verified.
Ooh. So it's like, it's Helen Ellis author now, right?
Yes, yes.
And Helen also has a book coming out later this summer, which is Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light. We'll ask her about that in a little bit. So we're super excited about that. And we're really thrilled tonight to be celebrating the release of JT Ellison's newest book, Her Dark Lies, that just came out Tuesday. How are you tonight?
I am so good. Good to see you guys.
You too. I'm so excited to hear you guys chat. I loved Her Dark Lies. I can't wait for people to come in and pick up copies. It's such a fun book, and like I mentioned, we do have signed book plates, and the book is available in paperback and hardback. So if you guys do place orders online, you can pick which version of it that you want. And so to get JT officially introduced, JT Ellison is the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of more than 20 novels and the Emmy Award-winning co-host of A Word on Words, Nashville's premier literary show. With millions of books in print, her work has won critical acclaim, prestigious awards, and has been published in 26 countries. She lives in Nashville with her husband and twin kittens. I am going to let you guys get to it. Like I said, anybody who is watching on Facebook and YouTube, please, please, please post any comments, questions you've got that pop up in the comments, and we will get to those in a little bit. I'm going to let Helen and JT talk, and I will be chatting with you guys on Facebook, and I will see y'all in a little bit.
Hi, thanks.
Well, I tell you, JT, what John said, you 20 books, such a success story, but there are few other writers besides you who are more generous to other writers. You really are a champion of writers and new writers, and you've been incredibly kind to me in my career, and I see it repeatedly. So tonight I want you to sit back and just enjoy being the talent and having everyone dote and cheer on you. I wore my pearls for the occasion. You know, we are Southern ladies, but pearls, you know, really play into this novel, Her Dark Lies. And before I have you just give me a brief description of the book, I want to say thank you for not killing the dogs. There are two wonderful dogs, Romulus and Remus, in this book that live a very interesting life on an island and kind of steal the show, and a few other things. And every time I see a dog in a book, I think that dog is going to die. This author is going to, you know, rip at my heart, toy with me and manipulate me. And you did that in other ways, which I appreciate, but you did not kill the dogs. Thank you very much. So
No way.
a little bit about Her Dark Lies. What's the story?
What's the story? So yeah, no, there's no way I was going to kill the dogs.
Thank
at all.
you.
No way. There's even two cats, and I don't kill them either. So yay me.
Yes, yes.
So Her Dark Lies is the story of Claire Hunter, who's a young up-and-coming large format oil painter who has met the man of her dreams, Jack Compton, who's the son of Bryce Compton, the head of Compton Computers, incredibly wealthy family, philanthropist, wonderful, you know, hugely admired people. And she can't quite figure out why this guy has fallen in love with her, but he has. And they are getting ready to leave for their wedding weekend on his family's island, Isola, off the coast of Italy. And I know, right? I as you do, right? As you do. Everything seems to be going well until there's a home invasion before they leave, and things kind of start off with a bang and go downhill from there.
Literally a bang. Yes. I think I said it on Twitter today. I feel like it's Death on the Nile meets Rebecca, meaning there's a lot happening in a small location. You don't know who's doing what, and there's, you know, two wives. And so my first question is, so Claire, as you say, is an abstract painter, and I sat beside our one abstract that my father won at a poker game in the 1970s. And when she first sees this island where she's going to be married and where she's going to live, she thinks about it in terms of color. She's incredibly intimidated by the height and sort of the castle, but she starts to see it in the colors, actual colors, the numbers of oils that she would paint the island. So she thinks and paints to sort of calm herself down and see things more clearly. Do you think in novels?
That's a really interesting question. And yes, I think I do. I think everything that I see, everything that I experience, every conversation I have, I'm assimilating into what becomes a story.
Yes.
It's
Did
just
you have a moment for this novel where you thought, I'm seeing a novel?
Well, Rebecca, certainly. I mean, it was a huge influence. I was listening to it to do research for my previous book, and it raises a question that is not answered. Du Maurier never really answers it.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that, and I started getting a little obsessed with it because it's like, I maybe want to answer this question in my own way. And that's kind of where the story came from. So everything that I did for the next year was kind of piling into the database.
Yes.
So when I sat down to do it, I kind of had an idea, at least of what my theme was and what I wanted. I wanted to answer the question.
Yeah.
It's hugely important to answer the question.
Yes. And without saying what the question is, I will say that I think that you did answer that question.
Well, thank you.
Yes, yes. And I thinking about being on the island, I'm thinking about what you said with your writing process and sort of what spurs an idea. And the island has a lot of things. And one of the things that the family owns is an artist colony. Have you ever been to an artist colony? and
No.
Writers Colony? Neither have
I want to so
Yes,
badly.
yes. Why
I've
haven't you?
oh my gosh, because it honestly, somebody told me don't do it because you're gonna really not enjoy it because there's a critique component to it. And I'm like, no, I just want to, be in my cabin and have people bring me meals and emerge at cocktail hour and have a glass of wine with some folks and then go back and keep writing. That's
Yes.
that environment in another area, another place seems like it would be so much fun.
Yes.
But yeah,
neither
I haven't never done it.
I think I know plenty of people who've done it, and I think a lot of people do it when they are younger, and not as younger than us, and not as sort of experienced. But I think that you and I do have sort of a little writers' colony that happens every 4 months. Do you want to talk about a virtual porch?
We do. We have a virtual porch. So I built a porch on my old house, and it was a really great place for the ladies in town to come and sit on the back porch, and we would write, and we would have writer snacks, which, is like almost healthy food, sort of. And we would chat and we would gossip and we would write. And we looped you into that because you are our honorary out of town member. And now it's grown into, it's a very small enclave of writers that we call it a write-in every 4 months. We take a week that we pretend we're on a writer's retreat, but obviously we're stuck at home. And we meet on Zoom to talk about what we did that day and kvetch and all the things that we would do if we were in person, and encourage each other, because I think that's the most important part of writing and the solitary nature of what we do, especially now that we're caught in this pandemic and we're all stuck at home. It's so important to be able to, have some community and have a conversation with people you trust.
And to be accountable. And we just had it, I guess it was February. We were doing it, and I think so many of us are at different stages of a book, and you were getting ready to have this book come out, and there was all this emotion and preparation that goes into it, and other people had been through it saying, it's totally normal, this is normal, everything's fine, it's going to be fine. And then other people were starting projects and so frustrated, and you were saying, it's totally normal. Be fine.
Isn't that true though? It's, we're just each other's cheerleaders.
It's true. And there's nothing better than going on and saying, I didn't write any words today, and somebody else saying, I didn't write any words today either. It's just so comforting. And in the novel, Claire, who is, a very successful artist, says, I think anytime an artist gets a modicum of a success, they distrust it. JT, what was your first and most recent taste of success? And do you still distrust it?
Well, the answer to I distrust success. I feel like every book is a debut for me, that I have something to prove, that I have to get it out there. Honestly, yesterday, I have never felt so buoyed by the writing world. The book was everywhere.
Yes.
So many people reached out and said, look, I'm getting a little verklempt because it was just a really magnificent day yesterday.
Yes.
And it meant a lot to me. It really did. Oh, don't do this to me.
Yes, you cry.
It was a really great day. It was just a really great day. This book was really hard to write, and I had a really difficult time with it. And for it to land well just made me very happy.
Let me ask you, you have 20 books, and as a reader, I was a reader of yours before I was a friend of yours. And as a reader of so many of your books, I never read reviews of your books. Whenever a book comes out, here I am to read it. So what was my question? I think it was like, why are you crying?
I'm not crying. I'm totally not crying. I was very touched as my nose is turning red because now I'm getting embarrassed and my nose turns red when I get embarrassed.
It's wonderful. This is a successful interview, in my opinion. We'll jump ahead. So the next question is, in the book, their word romance is brought up again and again. And romance in this book is associated with the gothic and the creepy and secret keeping and mysteries. And you are a mystery writer. You are a thriller writer. What is romantic about mysteries, and what is romantic about being a mystery writer?
I think it's the idea that things are going to go horrible and there's going to be somebody there to help you.
Yes.
There's either somebody's going to save you. So if we're in a procedural, you're going to be saved by a hero. If you're in a book like this, you are the hero. You have to save yourself, and you have to save the people around you. And I think that there's, that knight errant kind of thing that goes into this. I mean, doesn't everybody want to be somebody's savior and to fix things and patch them up and make it okay? So, I mean, I think that's part of it. But then this book, I mean, Claire is so in love, that she is willing to overlook some pretty big red flags about Jack.
It's like
about his family
field of red flags,
right? I mean, it's just, is she not? Is she a woman? Is she just the kind of?
Are you freezing or am I freezing?
You are. You're back. You froze for a second.
Okay. Oh, you're freezing.
Are you still there?
I'm here. Are you here?
Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm here. Yes, we froze.
Okay.
We froze for a second.
We froze. Both of us.
So I don't know if I froze or you froze, but what I was saying is I don't know if she's just naive, or I mean, maybe there's ulterior motives on her side of why she's overlooked these things. But Jack's got a dead wife. He died under somewhat suspicious circumstances, and he will not discuss it with her.
Right.
And she goes into this marriage only having her own ideas about Morgan instead of what he has shared with her, what she can glean versus what the man that she's going to spend the rest of her life is going to tell her. So that's not the most romantic entry into a marriage, right?
But sometimes
it's really not.
I think sometimes that people think keeping each other's secret is romantic. It's a bond. There's a really great moment near the end of the book where you say that we'd both been broken by our pasts. And that's probably what brought us together so tightly. Our silence grew from two bent trees into a forest that provided shelter and safety. And it made me think, do you think it sort of takes one to know one, that, two people who have difficult pasts do make a better shelter? Are they more accepting? Is there a safety in that secret keeping?
Sure, absolutely. It's what bonds them in the end. It's what is going to be the cement of their marriage is keeping each other's secrets. But when they finally, it's going to either drive a wedge between them and they aren't going to go through with this, or it's going to bring them closer together, and it brings them closer together, which is great. But it is, I love those kinds of stories where it's this push and pull and you don't know which way it's going to go.
Right.
Is it going to go that way? Is there going to be a happy ending? I don't know that this has a happy ending.
I think it has an ending.
It has an ending. It ends. It does end.
Yeah. And what you talk about, I think about the two characters, Jack and Claire, as trees, and all the branches are lies or secrets. You think you know everything, but you don't. And there's a real, there are different moments in the book where secrets are revealed. How did you know how many, all the different layers, how many secrets each of them were going to have, and when to reveal them?
I didn't know who had what secrets when I started. I knew one of Jack's big secrets.
Yes.
And I didn't know one of the other that he didn't let me know until literally the galley had gone out. And I need to maybe send you the last 2 pages of the book because it's shifted a tiny little bit. I know. I never do that.
I read the last page of the book. You know, a great sign of a great book is I read the last page of the book with my hand like this.
Oh, so you didn't see what happened.
I really wanted to be surprised. I didn't want to skip ahead.
That's actually a wonderful compliment because I totally understand that. I do the same kind of thing. I'm like, don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know until I know. But Claire was the one that she did not want to tell me what was going on. She was a very tough nut to crack. Mm-hmm. I tried everything I could do to find out what she was keeping. And
how did you know she was keeping something?
Because she wouldn't let me write her. She was very distant. She was very cold. Every time I put her on the page, and she's a first person point of view, right? She's the main character. And nothing I did worked with her. It was when I finally started thinking in terms of color and gave her that aspect of synesthesia, mm-hmm. where literally everything she sees in the tones that she would paint it. Mm-hmm. It's not real synesthesia, but it's artistic synesthesia. Yes. That changed her for me. And then when she sits down and finally admits what she's been keeping, yes. she doesn't tell Jack, she tells another character. That's she can't even bear to tell him. She tells somebody else. That was the first time I heard it.
Really? And we knew it as readers, which I love. You know, as a reader, I like knowing something that other characters don't necessarily know. So it makes me think about, you know, as a writer, you know, Claire is the main storyteller, and you say she was such a hard nut to crack. And as a reader, I'm reading her, and then all of a sudden we have sort of like a Jack's point of view, and then we have a mystery person point of view, although you think, is this who it is? I think I know who this is, you know, and it's so surprising, but so deftly done, because as a reader, you think, all right, well, let's go here. You know, as a writer, how do you decide to tell a story in that way, with the very sort of straightforward first person, then we're going to go third, then we're going to go mystery. Mystery.
Complete unreliable. I love unreliable narrators. Yes. But that voice would not leave me alone. It wasn't something I had planned to do, but every once in a while when I'm writing something and I'm just, another voice starts to talk, and so I write it down. And it's a very visceral voice, and it's kind of nasty, and it's very menacing. And I knew that's when I knew I'm not necessarily trying to obscure what and who that person is, right? It's fine for the reader to figure that out. It's not about tricking the reader. This is a book that it's much more of a thriller structure. It's fine for the reader to know what's happening. It's about when the characters find out. And that's very typical of a thriller. I mean, you'll have a killer's point of view, and the reader will know and be ahead of the character, versus, you know, in a mystery, the reader and the character are finding things out at the same time. So this is a thriller structure. Yeah.
There's a great moment. Somebody said it, that, you know, the suspense or the thrill isn't what happened, it's how people react to what happened. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why this makes me think of it, but I think about all the things that are happening in this book, and there's so much blood, JT. So much blood. People are slipping in it. They're covered in it. People are writing in it. How do you know? Is there ever too much blood?
This is actually a really tame novel, too. I mean, it's not like this horribly gory. It's not, there's blood, but it's not like it's gory, splashing, you know. Well, I guess there's a little bit. There's a little splashing, but there's a body count in this book, because that's when you're in a closed loop mystery, that's what's going to happen. People are going to be knocked off, and nobody is safe. And that's the fun thing about writing a book like this. You don't know who is going to make it to the end, and you know not everybody will. And a lot of people died in this book. Now, there is a reason. I'm not bloodthirsty, I swear. I sort of am, not really. But I did a contest on Instagram.
I saw that in the acknowledgments. I was going to ask you about that. Tell me.
I did a contest on Instagram and said, who wants to die in my next book? I was feeling frisky that day. I was just in a mood. I was feeling frisky. And I post that, and it's probably the most successful post I've ever had on Instagram. Everybody wanted to die in my book. And I was like, okay. So many people are like, well, I'm going to pick 2. All right, that's fine. But then somebody put up their hand and said, I volunteer as tribute.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, of a Hunger Games reference, you're in. And then somebody said, I'm prepared to die. And I'm like, oh, and we got a Harry Potter reference too. You're in. And then somebody bid on a character name in a auction.
Yes.
So it's like the next thing I know, I have all of these people
Commitments
that have to die in the book. And so it kind of changed what the story was going to be. It takes on a little bit of and then there were none.
Yes,
With a little bit of
better.
Thomas Ripley and
That's
some
better.
Rebecca. Yeah,
Death
it's
on the
just
Nile,
got a little bit of all of that in it.
Yeah, I love it.
Homage.
Have you ever bid to get your name in a mystery or to die? Have you ever done that yourself?
I think I have. I think it's been a while, but I think I have.
I'm in one of Charlene Harris's vampire books as a waitress.
Charlene Harris bid on a character name and is in one of my books.
Oh, I love it.
She's an FBI profiler in So Close to Hand to Death.
I am a waitress in leopard stretch pants who was killed by Eric.
Of course you are.
I just,
the leopard stretch pants.
The best money I ever spent. Let me ask you about Trish. Tricia. I call her Trish. First of all, have you seen Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar?
No.
It is a new movie.
Do I need to?
Yes, you do. It's a new movie with Kristen Wiig and her writing partner, but they do this whole riff on women named Trish, and how women named Trish are just the life of the party and the best people around. And so when Trish appears in the book, I was delighted to see her, and I was on her side the whole time. Tell me about Trish.
She is Claire's mother.
Yes.
And she's had a tough go of it. She's an alcoholic who's been in recovery for several years and has started sort of slipping off the wagon just a tiny bit.
Just one or two glasses of wine with lunch.
Right. You're in Italy. You're living in the moment. You're going to have a glass of wine, and of course that turns into 2, and then that turns into a bottle. And then by the time she gets to the island, because she and her husband and Claire's sister go on a tour of Italy before they come to the island. So by the time she gets to the island, she's having enough to be hungover in the mornings, and she's just my heart breaks for her because it's an incredibly difficult disease. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to be an alcoholic. It's a situational thing for her, but she is really a foil for what is happening in the story, and she becomes such. Without her and her actions, and is she drunk, or did somebody maybe slip her something? It's she get that drunk that fast? Well, okay. Yeah. I'm not going to say no because I don't disagree. I think somebody made a slip.
I'm really forever on Tricia's side.
Absolutely. And so, Claire is dealing with all of this stuff, and then somebody is murdered, and her mom is hammered, and everything is just, all the wheels come off the train. And Tricia getting drunk in that book is the moment that the wheels genuinely come off the train.
Yes.
So I used her badly, and I feel terrible for it. Because she's actually a really neat character.
She is. She was one of my favorite characters. I was always happy to see her. She's sort of this classic, drunken Southern mother.
Absolutely.
Out of her element. And we are very much out of our element. So I clung to Trish. And that also makes me think of her sister. Claire's sister comes, and Claire's sister has her own level of success. Mm-hmm. Tell me about, her sort of realm of success, and then tell me what you think about, the sister really resents and holds Claire responsible for something that was taken away from her, and she desperately wants them to be even. So the first question is, tell me about the sister's artistic life. And then tell me, do you think people can really be even? Can they really even the score?
No, they can't. They never can. If you genuinely feel wronged in such a way of something that's so, their father dies when they're young. And Harper is her sister,
Yeah.
Harper Hunter. She is an Instagram influencer. She is a photographer. She's a budding journalist. She is an incredibly talented woman on many, many fronts. She's tall and vivacious, bodacious, everything about her. Right? She is just all that in a bag of chips. I loved Harper. She was.
No, I've lost you again.
Have I frozen? Did you freeze?
You're frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay, there we are. Okay, cool. I think we're better now. What I was saying is she's all that in a bag of chips. I don't know if you heard that. That's what I said.
Yes.
But Harper she is a foil as well. She is a victim in this story, not in the way that you might think. She is taken advantage of and thinks that she is in control of a situation in which she is absolutely a puppet, which is so much fun.
Yes.
She is, she lives in New York. She's got this incredible life and she's kind of out for revenge. She is pissed off at her sister. She's doubly furious that her sister's marrying into this extreme wealth. She blames Claire, and instead of being excited for her, she finds ways to undermine her.
Mm-hmm.
Sabotage her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Harper was the most fun to write because she is so much larger than life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I even started an Instagram feed for her under her Instagram feed in the book, Harper Hunt's Life. So you can go to Harper Hunt's Life on Instagram and see her travels and some of the things that she talks about in the book and everything. Because it just seemed, it's a great way to procrastinate. To create a social media feed for one of your characters that nobody knows about.
You've never done that before, have you?
No, not like that. No. It was a very
thing. How many followers?
I don't know. I doubt anybody even
has a million.
Yeah, no. And she has a lot of followers in the book, but I don't think the feed has many. But it was just a really fun exercise to get in her head.
Yeah.
And to figure out, this is who this person is. She goes viral on a photo of herself standing on the beach saying, never let your dreams, never stop dreaming or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look it up. But that's in the tagline of the Instagram feed. It just was so much fun to create her. And I can imagine, I don't have a sister, but I can imagine the sibling rivalry, especially when you blame your sibling for something that's happened to both of you.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a very difficult situation for the two of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
but she's there to photograph the wedding, she's going to do that for her.
She does. I think it was also really interesting. I think about the research that must have gone into this book, the research as for Claire being a painter and being in that world, which was really interesting. And then the research for Hunter being in that Instagram world, which I think most of us are a little more familiar with, and how they're both artists, but in such different ways, and how that, is a natural rivalry. Do you have those rivalries ever? Do you ever sense that, with Instagram or with other writers, no name names, but do you ever think, I wish I was doing it like that, or I don't want to do it like that?
Oh, sure. But I don't feel like, about it. I see things and I'm like, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I want to try that, or that would be wonderful. And and then I'm on the text to Lee saying, go look at this. This would be really amazing. I maybe look at it in a little more nurturing sense than a stabby sense. There are certain moments, sure. It's like, seriously.
I think what you do really well is, in real life, you surround yourself with other writers. That's your art. And I think being somebody in your orbit seeing you do well makes me want to do well for you, you know, and I see that on a loop. Do you feel that way sometimes?
It's, you know, I really genuinely, and you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again, I feel like a rising tide lifts all boats.
Ooh, I like that.
I think it's brilliant the way we all support each other. I think it's, especially the past couple of years, the artists are coming together in a way that they've never before to say, you know what, if you like my book, you're going to love her book.
Yeah.
And that sort of cascades through the internet. And that's, you know, that's why yesterday a bunch of people who I really adore were recommending my book. You know, I've probably recommended one of theirs in the past, or yeah, I've got it on my shelf and I'm getting ready to read it. We are our own cheerleading squad. And gosh, there is so much more power for us to be together. And that's, you know, I'm, you know me, I'm the pacifist. I'm the Buddhist. I want everyone to be happy. I want everybody to have a cheeseburger, and I want everyone to have every good thing that I have. And I try to make sure, you know, that I give as much as I can to make that happen.
Yes, it's true.
It's important.
It's true. It's true. It's true. I think about Claire. At one point, she sort of becomes obsessed with Jack's first wife and goes down the rabbit holes. Have you ever become, is there anything in this book or other books that you become obsessed with research or an idea? I mean, you say that, this is what I wanted to ask you earlier. You mentioned that this was the hardest book for you to write. So why was this the hardest book for you to write? And I feel like it took you longer, because I know you are, especially from working alongside with you, you are very regimented, you know, words are money, this is a job. And I have known you since you started writing this book, and did it take a year and a half? I mean, that seems like nothing to me. That is a blip. But for you, I know that's long. Why was this harder for you?
It just didn't want to do what I wanted it to do. Ann Patchett has talked about how there's this glorious tapestry in your brain of what your story is. Yeah. And I liken it to, in my brain, the story is in vivid color. And as I start typing it, it's black and white. And there's nothing I can do to make it color. Oh. And this one especially just was not participating. I had a genuine organic block. I had 2 knee surgeries, and it really, you know, I definitely had surgery brain. Things just weren't clicking. I couldn't come up with ideas. So there was that. But I was banging my head against this several times, you know, for 14 months. It took 14 months to write this book. And there's 7 versions of it. Not 7 drafts, 7 versions.
What do you mean?
Different plot lines, with different plot lines and different subplots and different characters in different places. And I was trying to hearken back to Rebecca and to the classic Gothics too much, I think. And so I was writing myself into a box instead of saying, okay, this isn't a retelling of this story. Why am I trying to make it that? It is something completely different. It might be inspired by, but it's not. It's just not. The other problem was all the people I had to kill.
Yes. And it's also modern. It's also taking place now in a very sort of ancient setting.
Right. And it's the first time I actually made up a setting. I've always set my books in real places, but this one I actually created the setting for the book.
Well, and vividly. I thought it was for real.
I think it is so vivid because I had to paint it for myself. I had to see what it looked like. Yeah. And I had to see it through Claire's synesthesia artist brain. She is not going to look at a lemon and say that's yellow. Right. She's going to go to the color wheel and all of the things. And that was a hard way to write, because I don't see things necessarily that way. I see things in words, but not in color, right?
That's very interesting. You know, and it's such a visual book. You know, I think about, it still amazes me. How do people lot of writers do this, but I think about reading the book and you're going through, I don't know if catacombs is the right word, but you're going through like a crypt, and there are tunnels, and then there are beautiful descriptions of sort of the suite where they're staying in, and a library, and a labyrinth, and the cliffs. You know, it's extremely visual. So I'm stunned that how did you make it up? Did you draw it out? I don't know how you do it. I'm such a real, I'm not a researcher. I write about, this piece of paper, or I write about, this lips gloss. So I don't really make things up. How do you do it, JT?
It's just, I'm a very visual person. I'm a very visual learner. I see beautiful things and assimilate them. And it was like we were talking about before, every experience, every person, every conversation, everything finds its way into the book. I took little bits from different places. I had been in Italy. I did a lot of research online. I did a lot of, I like Sacre du Saint Michel. I'm going to build George Clooney's villa into Sacre du Saint Michel, and I'm going to set it on a cliffside, and I'm going to put an artist colony in there, and it's going to be crumbly, and oh hey, there's a Picasso, and oh, a Matisse, and oh my gosh, there's all this art. There was a lot of time spent looking at Architectural Digest, looking at design magazines. There's a couple of really interesting feeds where people have moved into French chateaus and are redoing them. So I'm really interested. I think if I wasn't a writer, I might be an architect of some sort, because I really dig that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time, I watch a lot of HGTV. There's a lot of design stuff that's going on, and everything just kind of
as well. I think about, I can picture her wedding dress, and there is a very sort of the one Rebecca-like moment where she's put into another wedding dress, and those dresses are described. I actually stopped reading the book because you said, "Oh, this Nashville designer Laura." Yes, and I looked it up. Is this really a person? I could not find it. Is it not really a person?
It's my agent.
Oh, is it? I love it. I love that.
So Laura Blake Peterson. She got, one of the characters was so many different characters, because she started off, it was the one that bid on the character named Carmen Harris.
Oh, yeah.
She's
a character.
Yeah, she started off as a cop in Nashville who was involved in a shooting. Yeah. She became a security guard for Compton. She became a cop again. Yep. And then she became the head of security. She was a nurse. She was a sane nurse, sexual assault nurse for a while. I mean, she morphed more than anybody in the book. And she was so many different things in so many different places that that's the kind of crazy stuff that happens, right? Yeah. So, but who she became is who she had to be. But in those 7 versions, she was 7 different things. That was part of why the book was so hard. Some people just didn't want to be who I wanted them to be. They wanted to be other people.
Yeah. Who was always there from the start, other than Jack and Claire? Who was strong? I would think that Anna would be very strong, because she's a strong character. And I went back and forth between reading the book and listening to the audiobook, and the actress who does the narration is fantastic, and she really has to give you some emotion. She has to give you a lot of accents, and she does a great job. And in particular, she did a great job with Anna. It was just like, ice water with an accent. It was fabulous. But she was such a strong character. Was she there from the beginning?
Yes, she is Jack's mom. So Jack's mom is Anna, and his dad is Bryce. And I really wanted to I write orphans a lot in my books.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Because it's so much easier, or only children, so they're really more self-contained, and we don't have that extra drama. Yeah. I really wanted family drama in this. I wanted there to be a loving parent, and they both love him to pieces. Yeah. And he's got 2 brothers,
and a grandfather.
and a grandfather who's got Alzheimer's. I mean, the whole family structure is there. And then Claire has family. She has a sister and a mother, and her father has passed away, but she has a stepfather. I've never written this many family members before.
That's so interesting, because that's true. I'm thinking back to other books, and and that's so true. And I think also about, again, you're creating this sort of, I'm calling it a castle.
It is. It is a castle. They call it the villa, but it is a castle. Villa La Scogliera.
You've got a character and us through Claire going into this, haunted tomb of a monstrosity, but she's also going into another person's family that's even more challenging, and has more secrets than the catacombs, and at the same time, you've modernized all the security. There's like facial recognition. I feel like it's one step ahead of anything that I know about, and that's one of the things that the family business specializes in. Talk a little bit about, why you chose to do that, what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they're biometric, right? Everything that they do, you just put your finger there or your eye or whatever, and everything opens up. There's facial recognition. She doesn't ever need a key. When they sit down to sign their prenup, they explain to her that now she's coded into the Compton system. She doesn't need a key to go to any of their multiple homes. All she has to do is show up, and her DNA gets her in the door. And that's something really fun for me. So the Compton family is, I was thinking, like, if Bill Gates had this kind of setup. I mean, we can't talk about what the Comptons do, but Bryce Compton is a computer expert, and he started basically Microsoft, and Anna runs a travel magazine called Endless Journey. Yeah. Which is basically Condé Nast. And so between the two of them, they're this incredible power couple, right? They have connections everywhere in the world. They're well respected. Like I said earlier, they're philanthropists. Jack runs the Compton Foundation, which they're like their own Doctors Without Borders. They are Médecins Sans Frontières, but for the Comptons, and they're all over Africa and doing all of these wonderful things. I even make a joke that they've worked in a toilet with Bill Gates, because he did that, right? He worked on sanitation and changed the lives of so many people. And that's who these people are. They are changing people's lives for the better, whether it's making a computer easier for them to understand, or literally digging a well in Africa and getting people water that they've never had. These are incredibly dynamic people. And I love having them as the backdrop with this, because, I mean, can you imagine marrying into that family? You've seen Succession, right? You've seen that.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is like Succession on steroids. Same kind of thing. I mean, incredible, just incredible people. But Anna is, she looks like she's the dutiful wife, but man, is she the steel behind everything. She is, she is the steel magnolia. She is the matriarch.
All right, before John says anything, I'm going to ask you one question, JT. Just a quick fire one, sort of based on one of the main characters. So, who would you rather run into on a deserted island? A ghost, a witch, or an ex-wife?
A witch. Give me a witch any day.
Why?
I like Wicca. It's pretty cool. It's a very peaceful religion. I'm down with the witch. Give me a witch. We'll be able to talk.
You can talk your way out of it. You can hear my cat yelling at me, so I'm sorry about that. All right. Hi, John.
Hello. So we have a couple of crack questions, and I have a couple of notes I took. So I also want to mention, I love, Helen, that you are a character in one of the Charlene Harris Sookie books, because McKenna, the store owner, is Tara's assistant in the dress shop. And when Sam shapeshifts into a dog, the dog's name is Dean, who is named after Dean James, who was the manager at the bookstore for years and years. And the first book is actually, in the series, is actually dedicated to him. So I love that you were also in the Sookie world too. So And JT, I wanted to mention one of the things that you mentioned. I love that you said like this book wasn't going to be specifically like a beat by beat retelling of like Rebecca and all those things. And Helen mentioned this too. I love that you took kind of moments from those books that like if you knew like, okay, she's playing with these ideas in kind of a general way. I love that you took some moments like Helen mentioned, like with the dress and stuff like that, where like you knew, oh, this is a throwback to this thing, and then you just didn't know, like, you know, it was going to pop up at some point, but you didn't know when. And then when it did, you were like, oh my gosh, this is great. So I love that you have all of those elements in there.
Thank you.
So we do have a couple of crowd questions. Oh, but I had one for me before we get there. So you mentioned, JT, that you had like 7 different versions of this book. Was there any point where you were like, okay, this isn't going to work, I'm just going to put this aside and be done with it? And what made you keep wanting to plug along with it?
I did decide I was done with it. It wasn't going to happen. And I mentioned that to somebody, and I got some, what I didn't consider was the best advice about what to do with it. And it ticked me off. And I said, come on, you are a writer. You can write yourself out of this. Yeah. It's not like this is, you know, you can change anything you want here. This is not you. And no. And so I sat down. We actually changed scenery. We went and house sat. Because I think I was starting to get, you know, I had sapped all the creative energy out of that house. We actually moved during the pandemic because I think we had just really used every ounce of creative energy that we had in the old house. I needed a fresh ideas, sounds, smells. So we went and house sat. And that really kind of changed things. And I put a Big Mac on the dining room table and I opened all the versions. I said, all right. And I started pulling in things that I loved. I made sure the tropes were there because it's a very tropey book. It's a Gothic thriller. It's going to have the tropes, right? Made sure the tropes were there. And then I rewrote about 40,000 words, put a new beginning on it, new ending, and just made the whole thing come together. You know, sometimes you got to get out of your own way.
They say,
and I needed to get out of my own way.
Well, sometimes they say the hardest writing is the easiest reading. And John wrote me this weekend and he said, I just got off that ride. Such a ride. And I said, I'm halfway through, don't tell me. But it's true. It never let up. It was like being on a roller coaster. So as a reader, you would never know. You know?
Well, I appreciate that. Ariel Lahan always tells me that the book that almost kills you is the one that's going to do the best. And it's like, well, I hope so.
Well, if we have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Obviously, you're helping tremendously.
We're gonna sell a book tonight.
So
at least one. We're going to sell one book. We know that there is one sale this week. Thank God.
So Andrea wants to know if the two of you have ever met in person.
Yes.
We have. So can I tell the story? Can I tell the story?
Yes, please.
So you can see this book that's over my shoulder. I read this when it came out, Eating the Cheshire Cat. Look, she's getting embarrassed. And I fell in love with this book. And I've read it several times, and it's on my all-time best of list. I've loved this book for years. Several years ago, Ariel Lahan, we've mentioned her twice now. Now she needs to charge us and pay us money for mentioning her. She said, listen, I met somebody at a dinner that I think you would really dig, and I want to introduce you to her. Her name's Helen Ellis. I meant, wait a minute, Helen Ellis, who wrote Eating the Cheshire? What? She's like, yeah, I think she did. She's out on tour for a book called American Housewife. And I was like,
15 years between those books.
And she introduced us, and I fangirled all over Helen on text. And you came to Nashville to Southern Festival, and I interviewed you for A Word on Words, and it was the best show. It was so much fun, and we've just been BFF ever since.
So much fun.
And really, this is awesome. All of your books are phenomenal. They're hysterically funny. They're wonderful. But it was just so funny that somebody like, I think you would like this person. And I was such a fan already. I was predisposed to love you.
Right back at you.
I can't get up because I'm sitting on the floor, but my copy of Eating the Cheshire Cat and Helen's books are all right up there on my bookcase too. So
my baby is 21 years old now.
Well, I have all the rest of them. They're just up. They're up there. They're up all.
wow.
And
I know
my
where
ladder
color.
is covered in books right now. So I was like, either I move 50 books and grab that one, or I go to yellow.
So Kelly wants to know, JT, could you imagine Her Dark Lies taking place anywhere else other than the Italian island?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question, because I actually entertained whether I needed to move it off of the Italian island if the island was too tropey. Right as I was getting ready to turn the book in, a book came across my desk that has a lot of the same elements. It's set in a different place, but I kind of panicked because, oh my gosh, here I'm turning in a book that has a lot of the same elements, and they talked me off the ledge and said, trust me, we've read this, we've yours, they are nothing alike. The only thing that's similar is there's an island and a wedding, and that, so that, you know, that walked me off my own little cliff there. But I wondered, you know, is the Italian setting, I speak Italian badly, but I speak Italian, and it just seemed like, you know, it sort of had to be there because there was so much Italian through it already. There was so much Italian, I didn't want to turn it off.
Yeah.
Did I freeze?
You're good. You're good now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your picture froze, but your audio was still coming through.
I hear Helen. I hear you. I hear you.
You're with us.
Oh, there
You're
we
with
go.
us.
Yeah.
You're with us.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So yeah, I there was just too much Italian in it to take the Italy out. At that point, I was like, I might as well just write a different book if I'm gonna.
Ooh.
So we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait a minute and see if JT pops back in. So Helen,
While she pops up, I meant to ask her this. So John, you know, I'm reading the book.
she's popping
And
up. Let's bring her.
you hear this? She goes, we were talking about you while you were away, and I asked John, did I miss it? Or I'm reading the book and there's all these mention of Claire's tattoos. I know where they are in her body. I know why she got them, but I don't know what the tattoos are of. And did I miss it?
No, you didn't. I think that we know that they are ill-conceived young.
We don't know. Are they like an anchor, mom? What is it? And so is that something you were very purposefully? Did you purposely omit what the tattoos were?
Yes, I have a few tattoos. I have one.
What?
I know.
Any of them you care to tell us about or dare show us?
I don't know. Can I? I don't know that I can get my leg up here.
Yes, get it up there. Yes. Ooh, what is it?
That is wow. That was a little yoga move.
It's not your mother's interview.
No, it's not.
Tears and tattoos. Best night ever.
So that is the Phoenix Rising. It's strength and rebirth. I got it at a difficult moment in my life to remind me that I was strong and I could do whatever I wanted. And I've got a butterfly on my shoulder too. But I had another one on my my other ankle that was, I went in to get something and the guy was like, you know, I could do that, but I don't know if it would be permanent. And I'm like, well, I want something permanent. So I picked the star, and it was pretty on the wall. It was not pretty on my leg.
Oh.
And so I went back and he fixed it and made it worse. And so I had to have it removed. And let me tell you, there is nothing more painful than having a tattoo removed.
You
It
told
is
us
not easy.
that you made that very clear in the book that the tattoo removal is worse than the tattoo. It's worse than many things. Yeah, I don't.
But she's doing it. She's doing it because she thinks that Jack wants this pristine woman who is, you know, much more like his mother, you know, that is going to be this perfect helpmeet to him, and she's going to look a certain way. And he loves the girl with the tattoos and the nose piercing, and you know, he loves her for who she is, and she's trying to erase herself and erase all of the reaction to her childhood that has shown up. You know, she says she has stopped using her body as the canvas. She leaves that for her art.
Well, he gives her family pearls. And at one point she says, it looks like a dog collar. and at the end, there is a moment where those pearls are ripped, you know, and you make pearls, but it's sort of like this freeing of that which restrained her. You know, it's very good symbolism. I don't know if you meant to do it, but you did it, JT.
I didn't put that together, but yes, I did mean to do that. I think you get to, I'm going to buy you the book for that one. Wow.
All right, John, give me another one.
Okay, so I love this question from Lindsay. So Lindsay wants to know, do you use your characters or events in your books to get a little therapeutic revenge on real people you've met?
No.
Yes.
No, I want to hear.
Come on. There's all that murder.
No.
No.
I believe in karma. If I killed somebody like that I hated in a book, I don't hate a lot of people. I don't like the word hate anyway, but it's that would come back to me threefold. And no.
Let me tell you, in American Housewife, I wrote a story called The Wainscoting War about a feud that goes to the death between two neighbors, and they want to redo the hallway, and it's all a series of emails, and that was based on reality. And my two neighbors won't talk to me anymore, and I realized, oh, I'm the one that wrote a story about it. I'm the bitch. Whoops.
Whoops.
It's me, not them.
And I don't have the guts to do that. I mean, people have behaved badly, and that has made it into my work.
Yes.
People. I mean, yes. If you didn't want to be in the book, you shouldn't have behaved so badly.
That's right.
But I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah. And the best part of Helen's Wainscoting War story is when she came to Houston for American Housewife, she got her media escort, Becky, who we love. She got Becky to read the story out loud with her. Like they were each reading different parts of it. It was amazing.
And at one point I got to look Becky in the face and say, you. And she took it like a champ. It was the best night of my life.
It's a great story. I mean, all of that is good, but that one is especially awesome.
All right.
So since we're mentioning your stories, Helen, can you tell everybody a little bit about Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's coming out in July, and it's another book of essays. And you talk about in fiction, I really will write my revenge. But when it comes to Southern Lady Code and Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light, every story is sort of me saying, look how great my friend is. And Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light is about women of a certain age, pushing 50, now 50, who won't be pushed around. And it's about how we accept each other for who we are. And it's just, again, me telling stories about my friends. Look how this woman beat cancer. Look how this woman had a baby at 50. Look how this woman tried a murder case. Look how this woman is a life of a freaking party. It's just me saying, hooray, hooray.
I can't wait to read it. I tried to get it on NetGalley and I didn't get approved. I was like,
I'm gonna get you one. And we'll get it, GT. Don't worry.
And I will just say, like all of Helen's books, there's so much humor in it. There's so much heart in it. And I told her this. I texted her this. It's like every time I get one of Helen's books, I think, okay, I'm going to read one essay and I'm going to spread it out because I know that I don't want to blow through the whole thing. I'm going to read one essay today. I'll read one tomorrow. I'm going to spread them all out. Then I sit down and I get up a couple hours later and I'm done with the whole book.
Helen, when does the book come out?
July 13th.
July 13th.
Go back to the virtual porch, and the virtual porch is made up of historical and thriller writers. So and me. So goals are set every day, and JT will say things like, I'm going to write 5,000 words a day, and Ariel says, I'm going to write 5,000 words today, and I say, I'm going to write 500 words today.
And what happens?
I write 500 words.
Yes, you do. And it doesn't matter how much you say you're going to do. It matters what you do.
Yeah.
And you've written 2 books on the porch with us, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes.
So awesome. I can't wait for it.
You got to keep up, because again, the virtual porch, JT writes almost, I want to say you write a book a year almost. It's unbelievable.
Oh, at least. Yeah, and normally every 6 months.
One every two years. And that's astounding because it was 15 years between those first 2 books. And I really do look to that group to sort of set the pace and show me what is attainable. And now that I'm sort of back in the writing world, I'm just want to keep up. Just dog paddle, keep up.
Well, we're never going to let you out of the pool. That's the thing. We're gonna keep you in there working because we love your work and we want more of it.
So Kathy wants to know, she says, JT, she loves your Thriller Chick Twitter handle. Did you pick it? And also, Helen, can you tell everybody what I do all day, like where that Twitter name came from? Let's start with JT.
Yes, I did pick it. I joined Twitter a long time ago. I didn't want to be on Twitter, and I didn't want anyone to know that I was on Twitter because it was still in its nascent, it was just it's not what it became. But I didn't want to have another social media feed. I was dealing with Facebook and that was enough. And I had the blog and all of that. So my husband kept getting on and he would sit there and he would laugh. I'm like, who are you laughing at? And he was like, this guy, it's just really funny. And so I joined to see the joke, right? But I didn't want anyone to know I was there. So I was like, what do you think? Thriller Chick? And he was like, yeah, why not? Who knew it was going to become the brand? It was a spur of the moment thing. I write thrillers. I'm a thriller chick. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I joined in 2012, and I didn't have a cell phone until 2016. I was that much of a Luddite, and so and in my phone, I still am so distrustful of the gadgets that nobody's real name is in my phone. So when I text you, it says Thriller Chick. And when I text you, John, it says Johnny Cakes. Those are your handles on Twitter. And that's sort of how I met everybody. But what I do all day came from the fact that, I'd had this big downswing in my writing life and I had stopped writing. And I hadn't published for 15 years and people met me and they would say, what do you do? And I'd stop saying writer because if you say writer, the next question is, well, what have you written? And then you say, well, it's out of print, I haven't published in 15 years. So I just started being very honest and I would say I'm a housewife because that's what I was at the time. And the next question, if there ever was another question, was what do you do all day? And so unbeknownst to my husband and everybody else in my life, I started this Twitter account called What I Do All Day. And I just started tweeting what I did all day. And that's how I started writing again. Yeah.
Completely organic. Just brilliant. So sometimes you can't plan those things, right? Sometimes the most successful parts of our lives are the ones that we just let happen for us instead of try to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So JT, so we just had Her Dark Lies just came out Tuesday. I always hate asking this question, but everybody wants to know. So you've just released this awesome book. What do you have coming up next?
I have a book that I'm writing that's not killing me. That's going really well, really fast. I'm not going to say what it is about. It is another standalone. And I am well over halfway through it. I thought I was maybe going to get a draft done before the release, but release started taking, on a life of its own as it sometimes does. But I hopefully it'll be out, this time next year, and it's going much smoother than Her Dark Lies. Much smoother, which is probably not a good thing, but it's easier on me. It's easier on me.
Go with the flow.
I need a break.
Go with the flow.
Right.
All right. So before we head out tonight, so that was all of our crowd questions. Helen, which one do you want to pick as our?
The one that made me think of getting drunk with JT in the basement of the Heritage Hotel in Nashville and seeing the best bathroom ever. So it was the question of, have we ever met in person? So I thought it was the best tangent. Who was that?
Perfect. So that was Andrea Chapman Johnson. So Andrea, email us at order@murderbooks.com and we will get your info and we will get a book sent to you. So that's Andrea, if you're watching, and I'll go back and I'll actually respond to your comment so you know if you have tuned out that you have won the book. So we wanted to mention that we have copies of Her Dark Lies in store now. You can order those from us. I said it's available in paperback or hardcover. We have signed book plates to go with it. You can also pre-order Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light. We don't have anything official set up for Helen yet, but we will definitely be doing something with her virtually when the book comes out. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to catch Helen again, she will be chatting with Lee Hollis on March 30th to talk about the new Poppy Harmon book, which we're super excited about. And JT will be chatting with Adele Parks and Lisa Jewell about their new books on April 6th with us. So you have plenty of chances to see them again. Also wanted to mention, I didn't mention this at the beginning, if you guys want more book recommendations, join us back here Saturday night at 7 o'clock. The entire Murder by the Book staff will be here on Facebook and YouTube recommending recent favorites, upcoming favorites. One of the books I will be talking about again is Her Dark Lives because I loved it so much. I've got this kind of whole spoiler, but this whole kind of people who have taken really great classics and reinvented them in fun ways, theme going on with their recommendations. So everybody check back on Saturday night to see us do that. If you missed any part of the chat, Facebook and YouTube will archive them once we are done, and you'll be able to go back and watch those. And also while you're there, everybody, make sure you scroll through the other over 200 author events that we've got online, including one where Heather, sorry, not Heather, I don't know where Heather came from, where Helen chatted with Nikki Dolson early in the pandemic. I don't even have a concept of time. I mean, I think it was like maybe May. So definitely check that out too. There's lots of really great stuff in there.
Love and Other Criminal Behavior. It was a short story collection, and it was one of my favorite books of last year. I sent you a copy, JT.
You did, and I love it.
I love it.
It's on the shelf. It's in the black over here.
Loved it.
I can't pull it out. It's not alphabetical.
So Helen, thank you so much for texting me and saying, hey, let's make this event happen. And I also wanted to send out a big thanks to Emer Flounders at HarperCollins because I emailed him and was like, hey, we want to do this. Can you help us make it happen? And within like a day, he was like, yep, boom, done. So I'm so excited that we got to do this. This is so much fun to get to chat with both of you. JT, again, congratulations on the book. It's fantastic. I know everybody's going to love it. So I'm so glad to see that it's kind of everywhere because it needs to be everywhere. It's so good.
It was great. Great job, JT.
Wonderful night. I love you both. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yay, Emer. He is the best.
Yeah, he's the best. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.